professional listening to this, wondering what to say or what to do or what to make out of any of this, let me tell you, if you think it's going to get easier to get a listing or a buyer into a new house in the next year, you're wrong. You need to create a situation where you have a greater value to a potential client. Okay? I think it's hilarious that, and it's true, I really do find, I cynically find it very funny that nobody seems to want to focus on the reality that our real estate market is broken. It's been broken for a long time, since about 2010. We should have crashed. We should have gone to a lower valuation. But that wasn't good for the U.S. economy, right? So what we did is we put the lending rate at zero. We sold off all the REO inventory. We declared that as an adjusted inventory. And now we are where we are, right? Values are up. Everybody's happy. Okay, let me explain what that means. Nobody wants to sell and nobody can buy. So what is making this such a great real estate market? Those at the top are doing well, and they will always do well. Those of you at the bottom who do 1 or 2 or 3 transactions a year on referrals will always do 1 or 2 or 3 transactions from referrals. The other 800,000 of you that make your bread and butter by working buyers and sellers and getting 1 transaction per month, right? That's what you do for a living. You're going to find it really difficult for the next calendar year. I'm not being a naysayer. I'm not being a harbinger of doom. I'm telling you, you need to create more value in what you do and what you do for your clients. That, that might come off as a big rant, but listen to this debate that I'm about to play for you. Okay? Hillary will put a plan in place much like Bill Clinton did. She's already made it clear that this is part of her economic plan, that everybody should have the ability, should be allowed to buy a home, right? Home ownership's key. So don't be surprised if she figures out a way to eliminate student debt, I guess, and have you, the taxpayer, pay for it, probably. I wouldn't be surprised. Because when you say that the government's going to pay for it, that just means your taxes are going to pay for something. Okay, so student debt is number 1. Lowering debt. Number 2, she thinks that everybody should own a home. That means looser standards and guidelines. I'm pretty sure, knowing Wells, Chase, and B of A, and the Dodd-Frank Act, and every restriction they're under at the moment, and just how protective the banks are of their assets and lending standards, and how hard they took it in 2007, I truly believe that what you'll wind up seeing is an FHA program with looser guidelines, which means the government will insure those who shouldn't be purchasing. I absolutely fundamentally believe that that will occur under a Clinton administration. Under a Donald administration, I believe he wants the crash. I believe that from a business standpoint, he wants a crash. He wants the interest rate higher. He wants housing prices to adjust to where they should be and become more affordable. That's what I believe out of the 2 candidates. And again, I'll say it. Excuse me, I have a cold. What I believe is that I don't care for either candidate. Neither are really good solutions to me. I think that you have to worry about you and your family. And I think you have to worry about your clients, either buyers or sellers. And I think you need to be aware of the market. Do I think that prices will keep going up? Yes, in certain markets. But I think they're going to start flattening out a lot. Why? Because sales are down. Now it's fall. Now it's winter. What's the excuse going to be? What will the next NAR report? Well, it's adjusted because of the time of the year. Well, it's adjusted based on the amount of homes. Well, it's adjusted. This adjusted thing's got to end. And you, who works in the niche of working 1 or 2 transactions per month, you now feel it. And if you don't, consider yourself lucky, because this is what's really happening. 80% of you work somewhere in that range, right, of 6 to 12 transactions per calendar year, sides, and you're going to see a drop-off. You're going to find it harder to get your buyers into a house. you're going to find it harder to find homes that are affordable. I know this for a fact. We all know this for a fact. So I'm going to play the clip of Hillary and Donald talking about the economy. Listen to it. Take whatever you want from it. Sign up. Listen to me on iTunes, iHeartRadio, or you can go to Perfect Blue Studios, 3 words, perfectbluestudio.com, and it'll take you to the production page where all of our shows are. And you can sign up through Spreaker, which will work on your smartphones. Personally, my choice is iHeartRadio. I know many of you are iTunes people. Real simple, sign up. There's a little podcast app on your iPhone. That's how I get all my podcasts. Just sign up. Just type in HonishReport, and you want the one that is Perfect Blue Studios, I believe, would be the correct one. Make sure you see updated episodes. I know there's 2 of them because I just switched over. So you want the one that has the most recent episodes. If you don't see an episode from last week, it's not the most recent one. You'll see 2 of them listed. So I apologize for that. We just switched over servers, and it sometimes does that when you switch out RSS feeds. Technical thing. So please sign up. Here you go. The Donald and the Hillary talking about the real estate market. Thanks for listening.
All right, you have 2 minutes on the same question to defend tax increases on the wealthiest Americans, Secretary Clinton.
I have a feeling that by the end of this evening, I'm going to be blamed for everything that's ever happened.
Why not?
Why not? Yeah, why not? Just join the debate by saying more crazy things. Now, let me say
there's nothing crazy about not letting our companies bring their money back into their country.
This is Secretary Clinton's 2 minutes, please.
Yeah, well, let's start the clock again, Lester. We've looked at your tax proposals. I don't see changes in the corporate tax rates or the kinds of proposals you're referring to that would cause the repatriation, bringing back of money that's stranded overseas. I happen to support that. I happen to support that in a way that will actually work to our benefit. But when I look at what you have proposed, you have what is called now the Trump loophole, because it would so advantage you and the business you do. You've proposed an approach that has a $4 billion tax benefit for your family. And when you look at what you are proposing, it is, as I said, trumped up trickle down. Trickle down did not work. It got us into the mess we were in 2008 and 9. Slashing taxes on the wealthy hasn't worked. And a lot of really smart, wealthy people know that. And they are saying, hey, we need to do more to make the contributions we should be making to rebuild the middle class. I don't think top-down works in America. I think building the middle class, investing in the middle class, making college debt-free so more young people can get their education, helping people refinance their debt from college at a lower rate. Those are the kinds of things that will really boost the economy. Broad-based, inclusive growth is what we need in America, not more advantages for people at the very top.
Mr. Trump,
typical politician, all talk, no action, sounds good, doesn't work, never going to happen. Our country is suffering because people like Secretary Clinton have made such bad decisions in terms of our jobs and in terms of what's going on. Now, look, we have the worst revival of an economy since the Great Depression. And believe me, we're in a bubble right now. And the only thing that looks good is the stock market. But if you raise interest rates even a little bit, that's going to come crashing down. We are in a big, fat, ugly bubble. And we better be awfully careful. And we have a Fed that's doing political things. This Janet Yellen of the Fed is doing political by keeping the interest rates at this level. And believe me, the day Obama goes off and he leaves and he goes out to the golf course for the rest of his life to play golf, when they raise interest rates, you're going to see some very bad things happen because the Fed is not doing their job. The Fed is being more political than Secretary Clinton.
Mr. Trump, we're talking about the burden that Americans have to pay, yet you have not released your tax returns. And the reason nominees have released their returns for decades is so that voters will know if their potential president owes money to, who he owes it to, and any business conflicts. Don't Americans have a right to know if there are any conflicts of interest?
I don't mind releasing. I'm under a routine audit, and it'll be released. And as soon as the audit's finished, it'll be released. But you will learn more about Donald Trump by going down to the federal elections, where I filed a 104-page, essentially financial statement of sorts, the forms that they have. It shows income. In fact, the income, I just looked today, the income is filed at $694 million for this past year. $694 million. If you would have told me I was going to make that 15 or 20 years ago, I would have been very surprised. But that's the kind of thinking that our country needs. When we have a country that's doing so badly, that's being ripped off by every single country in the world, it's the kind of thinking that our country needs, because everybody, Lester, we have a trade deficit with all of the countries that we do business with of almost $800 billion a year. You know what that is? That means who's negotiating these trade deals? We have people that are political hacks negotiating our trade deals.
The IRS says an audit of your taxes, you're perfectly free to release your taxes during an audit. And so the question, does the public's right to know outweigh your personal?
Well, I told you, I will release them as soon as the audit. Look, I've been under audit almost for 15 years. I know a lot of wealthy people that have never been audited. I said, do you get audited? I get audited almost every year. I should be complaining. I'm not even complaining. I don't mind it. It's almost become a way of life. I get audited by the IRS, but other people don't. I will say this. We have a situation in this country that has to be taken care of. I will release my tax returns against my lawyer's wishes. When she releases her 33,000 emails that have been deleted, as soon as she releases them, I will release my tax returns. And that's against my lawyers. They say, don't do it. I will tell you this. No, in fact, watching shows, reading the papers, almost every lawyer says you don't release your returns until the audit's complete. When the audit's complete, I'll do it. But I would go against them if she releases her email.
So it's negotiable?
It's not negotiable. No, let her release the email. Why did she delete 33,000?
Well, I'll let her ask that, but let me just admonish the audience one more time. There was an agreement. We did ask you to be silent, so it would be helpful for us. Secretary Clinton.
Well, I think you've just seen another example of bait and switch here. For 40 years, everyone running for president has released their tax returns. You can go and see nearly, I think, 39, 40 years of our tax returns, but everyone has done it. We know the IRS has made clear there is no prohibition on releasing it when you're under audit. So you've got to ask yourself, why won't he release his tax returns? And I think there may be a couple of reasons. First, maybe he's not as rich as he says he is. Second, maybe he's not as charitable as he claims to be. Third, we don't know all of his business dealings, but we have been told through investigative reporting that he owes about $650 million to Wall Street and foreign banks. Or maybe he doesn't want the American people, all of you watching tonight, to know that he's paid nothing in federal taxes, because the only years that anybody's ever seen were a couple of years when he had to turn them over to state authorities when he was trying to get a casino license, and they showed he didn't pay any federal income tax. So if he's paid zero, that means zero for troops, zero for vets, zero for schools or health. And I think probably he's not all that enthusiastic about having the rest of our country see what the real reasons are, because it must be something really important, even terrible, that he's trying to hide. And the financial disclosure statement, they don't give you the tax rate. They don't give you all the details that tax returns would. And it just seems to me that this is something that the American people deserve to see. And I have no reason to believe that he's ever going to release his tax returns, because there's something he's hiding. And we'll guess. We'll keep guessing at what it might be that he's hiding. But I think the question is, were he ever to get near the White House, what would be those conflicts? Who does he owe money to? Well, he owes you the answers to that, and he should provide them.
He also raised the issue of your emails. Do you want to respond to that?
I do. You know, I made a